We get it. After you've been in an accident, you deserve clear, risk-free advice to help get you back on your feet. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show, live on your YouTube machine every morning, presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Make sure you donate blood. And when you donate blood, make sure you use the sponsor code ADVOCATESSLC, ADVOCATESSLC, to donate blood with the Red Cross. Get to your local Red Cross chapter this month. The Advocates are doing such great work. What do I tell you all the time on the show? When you want to help your community, you work with the Advocates, whether it's raising money for homeless kids, whether it's getting homeless kids and those that are disadvantaged Christmas gifts, school supplies, all of the great things that the Advocates do working in the community. And then you know that they are the best injury attorneys in the business. They employ empathy because they understand how you feel when you get into an accident, when you're injured and it's not your fault that big rig swerved and hit your car. It's not your fault that somebody ran a red light. No, friends, you didn't deserve to get in that accident, but you do deserve an advocate where you never pay out of pocket to work with the best injury attorneys in the business, theadvocates.com, where you can chat with an injury attorney live online 24/7. 365. I thought when I woke up this morning it was Friday. It is not Friday. It is Thursday. I thought today was Friday, but hey, you know what? I love you all, and I am just so glad that you are here today. That's a lie. But we do need to talk about something we all love, and that is NIL regulations running through the state legislature in Utah, now on their way to Governor Cox's desk. And I just simply say, why are politicians getting involved in NIL? You know that the NCAA essentially was gutted in court. They have no ability, and Charlie Baker has told his constituents at NCAA universities that they will not be opening new enforcement action or enforcing, regulating in any way, shape, or form NIL deals. So, of course, we have the state of Utah, one of the most dysfunctional states with the least amount of correct priorities, putting into effect legislation starting May 1st that reinstates all NIL regulations. It's wild to me, and I just don't understand why we continue to press down on kids. Every university, certainly any major P5 university, has a set of NIL regulations where it's things like tobacco, guns, strippers. Those are not NIL eligible. And universities like Utah, who is one of the most prestigious universities in the country, certainly would not allow one of their student athletes, as I think we already know and they have said, to run afoul of the law and endorse, like one of the things that this new legislation in Utah says is you can't have an NIL deal that deals in guns you are not allowed to have. Really? Well, thankfully, we have that as a law in the state of Utah. That's the level of ridiculousness that we have sunk to when it comes to NIL. Jake, does a state legislature have any business being involved in NIL?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the unfortunate part about NIL right now is that it's gotten to a point where it's obviously going through the court system, and we have all these legal battles, which typically in life means that politicians are going to get involved in some form or fashion. And so, no, I mean, I don't think local or state level politicians should be involved in this. I understand the logic behind, potentially having some federal legislation around this just to kind of make a standardized, hey, this is what's allowed, this is what's not allowed. This applies to everyone across the board. It is what it is. I get that. I understand that. But the problem is again, I feel like this is the unintended consequences portion of the conversation from last week, where it's like, all right, cool. We got our TRO, and we're putting a pause on discipline and investigations, and you guys can just be out here doing whatever you want. And now the problem is we didn't think about the fact that, okay, well, state legislature is just going to roll out legislature that matched what the NCAA rules and guidance was pre-ban. Pre-pause on discipline. And I think that's what nobody's considering. And yeah, I do think it's a little ridiculous when we write into bills, yeah, well, you can't have NIL deals with a gun shop if you're not allowed to own guns, or if you're not allowed to own this type of gun or that type of gun. Well, obviously, dude. Obviously, kids aren't about to go out and do an NIL deal with Buddy on the corner who's been their weed guy for 5 years, right? They're not doing that. That's not the whole point. You're talking about doing NIL deals with, the old example is, car dealerships or whatever businesses.
No. The Monty Show.
The Monty Show.
Jake Retzloff joins us on an NIL deal coming up at 7:30.
Right. And so when you look at that, Jake now, well, he's at BYU, private institution. Okay, he wouldn't have to report.
But even BYU has NIL standards. You can't have an NIL deal that goes against the honor code. So you're not going to be able to have an NIL deal for tobacco or caffeinated beverages. Okay, great. Do I need a state legislature to write that into their law? I don't. I think this is a complete farce. I think, and again, I'll put it back up, which bans promoting alcohol, marijuana. Yeah, because we're going to have NIL deals with a dispensary. Dispensaries essentially are not allowed to advertise, right? Like the only place you see dispensaries is on billboards. Do you hear dispensaries advertising on the radio? You don't. Do you see them advertising on TV? You don't. There's a reason for that, right? Like tobacco products, e-cigarettes, vaping, controlled substances. All right, here in the great state of Utah, where the legislature will do nothing about the opioid crisis. Absolutely nothing. They will do nothing. Well, here's Jimmy the quarterback for your local Corner Connect for, your opioids. I mean, we see those deals all the time, right?
Yeah.
No, we don't. We don't. We don't see, do we really need a deal in the state of Utah to make sure that a football player isn't endorsing a strip club?
I think that's the part that's rough.
What are we doing?
That this, so because this bill is a Utah thing, a state of Utah thing, I think it's very fitting, right? Like this is right up the alley of, hey, we need to write bills for every little thing in this state. And we're only
except homelessness and opioid crisis.
Right, except the actual problems in the state.
Correct.
We're just going to try and control everything that people want to do who are not addicted to opioids. But because you're addicted to opioids, we're going to continue to allow you to be in that position. So, I didn't love this when I saw it. And I think there's a ton of hypocrisy in it. I think on the heels of, as far as the legislature is concerned, on the heels of our Ryan Smith conversation and, the whole situation around the legislature being a bunch of guys who are all friends that play in the same sandbox. Like, this is just right up that alley. Like, hey, there's an opportunity to restrict kids and what they can and can't do. Man, we better make sure that you can't do NIL deals around controlled substances, as if anybody had thought to do that, as if that was some like raging issue in our state. We damn well better prevent people from watching porn unless they're willing to put in an ID on a website, as if that's some raging issue, as if that's like high up the totem pole of issues in the state of Utah. That's my problem with this.
And the other best part about this is that it talks about how you can't, have an NIL deal with a gambling company. So I don't know if you know this or not. Gambling's illegal in the state of Utah. Like, can't do FanDuel, can't do, that. We're partnered with, Prize Picks. How'd you do on Prize Picks last night?
Great.
Oh, yeah, I won again. But the point is, promo code Monty, we work with a company in Prize Picks that should dominate in Utah. But the gambling laws are so restrictive that most people are like, you can't do Prize Picks in Utah. Yeah, you can, actually. You can. I don't know. I love, and most of you know we do this show from Salt Lake City. I love living here, but this state is broken in so many ways that this is just so stupid. What this package does is essentially reinstate and take another step to the NIL rules that were just ruled, illegal essentially by a judge who put in a preliminary injunction to which the NCAA said, yeah, we're not going to fight that.
Because it's illegal.
So Utah turns around and puts in the exact same package of laws to make sure that kids can't make whatever money they want. Oh, it's $601. Yeah, you got to run that by your school. Do you really think NIL deals are not being run by their athletic directors, football coaches? There's not a kid that plays on a D1, especially in the P4. There's not a kid in a P4 program that doesn't go to his coach and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this with dickhead car dealer over here. Every single one of them do it. This again is government that's over governmenting.
Well, and I think they did this to take a victory lap. They wanted to say, hey, we're protecting the kid, and we don't want them to get into anything that they shouldn't be into. Well, who's deciding what they should and shouldn't be into? Right? Like again, when you guys were all kids, did you have your governments telling you what you should and shouldn't be into? Oh, that's right. No, you didn't, because culture was different back then. We didn't have, local legislatures telling us that we can't drink full strength alcohol, we can't drink caffeine, and we can't do NIL deals around weed, as if weed is killing people, right? I don't smoke weed. I don't do weed. I've never done it in my life. But I'm not going to sit here and look at this bill and be like, yeah, wow. No, there's no irony in this. There's no hypocrisy.
This is the same guy who wrote this bill. And I don't know why this popped into my head, but I just tweeted, searched it. This same guy, Jordan Tauscher is the representative's name here in Utah, that last year put forward legislation to stop kids that are undocumented from participating in sports. Does not. Why are we taking kids who already struggle with access issues? And that's every kid, undocumented, a citizen of this country, already struggling with access issues, and telling them, yeah, we're going to take more access away from you. We're going to decide how much money you can make. We're going to decide who you can partner with. Why are we doing that? And the answer is, I have no idea why we're doing that. I think it's just what we like to do. I think it is, and I shouldn't say we, I think it's what politicians like to do. That's truly my opinion, is that politicians only care about putting tallies on their scoreboard, taking victory laps. That's what politics has become.
Look what I did.
And I know that you guys hate it, but sports and politics run right next to each other. This is, again, look at Colin Cowherd yesterday. Colin Cowherd yesterday went on an unbelievably bad rant against politics and Fox News on his show yesterday. It was wild. And you can't get away from it. But it's bills and laws like this that I just don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get I guess I don't understand why politicians are so hungry to be in the NIL conversation. Like, you would think that they would be looking to take victory laps on other stuff, more pressing matters, things that could, affect a ton of people. I don't feel like NIL, generally speaking, affects a lot of people. It only affects the athlete and any business that they would be potentially looking to do a deal with. And that's not a ton of businesses because NIL is an expensive game. You know, I mean, you look at, again, obviously the Jake Retzloff interview on our show is an NIL situation. But if you look at like, again, car dealerships or whatever the case may be, Beats by Dre or, whatever it is, those are hundreds of thousands of dollars deep for NIL deals.
Yeah.
Those are not like just little, hey, here's $5, right? Like that's not what this is. So to me, I just don't feel like NIL is something that's affecting hundreds of thousands of people. NIL is affecting, a small sector, in my opinion, of athletes in college athletics, not only on the football field, but in other sports. And it has not yet bled into everybody's pockets in terms of athletes. Like we've yet to hear about some Cinderella story about how some mediocre bench player got a great NIL deal. We're not hearing about that because it's not happening. Again, NIL falls right under the same umbrella as capitalism. Businesses want to attach themselves to the biggest brands in the biggest sports so that they can bring more customers through their door, through their website. That's what they're trying to do. And I have no problem with that. I just don't understand why legislature feels the need to get involved. It's such a simple concept. Nobody's dying from NIL. Nobody is ruining their life. Nobody is like, it's ridiculous to me.
Yeah. At least it puts their names out in the public and we can vote against them. This is exactly what you talked about. This is the same state that said, hey, if you want to watch porn in our state, you have to give the company providing the porn your ID, and they get to hold it for you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a guy that watches porn. I don't defend pornography. I think it's the great destroyer of men, as I've said on the show. I don't want any man, whether you watch pornography or not, I do not want you giving your ID of any form to a company that generates pornography. That you're dumb if you do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. You just should not be doing it. And I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. I shouldn't be surprised.
You really shouldn't be.
But I am. And I want you, I'm begging you to vote. What elections do you vote in? We just talked about this
presidential elections
in the vaunted pre-show meeting.
Yeah.
So did you vote against this dickhead Tauscher in the president?
Not.
Oh, that's right. Because you don't vote in state elections. Vote in your local elections.
Yeah, you know what the problem with that is? I didn't even know the local election was going on this week. I had no idea.
You should read your mail.
Well,
should read your mail. I honest to God, this is the issue. Is that we have state elections and nobody's aware of it. This guy's up for re-election in June. I'll be voting against him because I just think that this is such ridiculousness. And am I wrong? And I'm open to the idea. This is just my opinion. I'm open to the idea, and I think you guys know we value your opinions on this show. Am I wrong about this? I feel like, point blank, this legislation in Utah is overreaching, and I mean not a little bit. He didn't put a fingernail over the line. He put his whole goddamn self over the line with this. And the state just followed right behind him. Just followed up right behind him.
Because again, I think that local, or state level legislature is all sales. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And obviously federally, at the federal level, of course, yeah, you got to sell people on what you want to do. But I think, at the federal level, there's so much politics involved in every bill that goes through that you're essentially just bartering and trading things to get things done. At the state level, I feel like it's a much smaller situation. So it's all about like, hey, this is why we should do this, and you're just selling yourself. You're selling the legislature you're trying to get through, and clearly this guy's got sway in the legislature. And so yeah, I mean, I will pay more attention to local elections. Yeah, I will. It is what it is. I can come up with a bunch of different reasons, and you'll say, hey, it doesn't matter. You should still vote, which is true.
And I would point out he's a graduate at BYU. He got his JD from BYU. He went to the Reuben Clark Law School in 2012, graduated. And he is LDS, and he is
That's what I mean.
fully in the community here.
You
fully
got,
in the
you
community
have religious
here.
folks making legislature.
And he, I want to understand it. I don't.
And he's going to run on the fact that he's LDS, guaranteed.
Oh, I am certain he will. I am certain that he will, and I will vote against him happily. As a registered Republican, I will vote against this individual because I this at some point, and again, I know that we throw around the phrase "freedom isn't free." Freedom is not free. We don't have young men and women defending our country in foreign waters right now, like this whole. Anyway, we don't have young men and women giving their lives, dying on battlefields for generations, due to restrict their fellow Americans' ability to make money. It is a thing where in this country, especially politicians, want to talk about how freedom, and they're fighting for freedom, and they're out here defending your freedom. To do what? To do what? Can I smoke weed? Can I gamble? Can I watch pornography? Can I, like, all the stuff? Can't do it. Can I do a car deal? No, you can't. Well, you can, but we're going to have to approve that. Can I get my own t-shirt? Well, you can, but we're going to have to approve that. We don't have freedom in this country. We don't.
No lotto.
Can't. Yeah. Another thing we don't have here. We don't have the lottery in Utah. I'm just a little fed up. I love the things. I love the things that are great about Utah. I love the parks. I love the land. I love mountain golf.
Yeah.
I love a lot of things here. Politics and religion in this state are horribly flawed. And if you think, and I think this goes for most of our country, if you think you have freedom, you are completely wrong. You are completely wrong. I am telling you now. I'm a guy that votes in my local elections. Mrs. Monty and I were talking about this young woman running for senator in our state. Like, I'm telling you, if you don't vote in your local elections, you do not complain about your freedoms. You need to vote for your council members. You need to vote for your state senators, your state congressmen. You need to vote. You need to talk to them. You need them to understand where you're coming from. And again, I'm just going to say it's millennials and Gen Zers who just don't give a shit. They don't vote. They don't take part in the process. And we wind up with guys like this making NIL rules that clearly I don't think there's any way to spin this on the recruiting trail. How do you spin this? I don't know. If you're Kyle Whittingham and you walk into a Westlake Village, California, Los Angeles, suburban Los Angeles quarterback kingdom, and you're trying to get a quarterback, and Lincoln walks into the living room and says, hey, we don't have those restrictive wacko NIL laws here at USC. Hey, we don't have those restrictive wacko NIL rules at Texas Tech. How are you going to defend that?
You're not.
You're not. You're not. You know. Welcome to the nightmare. A member for 7 months will kick us off today. How dare you block a potential bucked up NIL deal? That's what I'm talking about.
Well done. Levity.
But
Thank
see,
you.
the funny thing is, and yeah, I am really tweaked by this. I think it's complete garbage. I do. I think it's complete garbage. The funny thing is, like, Jake Retzloff is partnering with Big O Tires. Nobody's going to say two words about that. At BYU, you understand when you go to BYU, you're not doing a deal with Bucked Up. You're not. It is an institution run by the LDS Church, and they do not advocate for caffeinated beverages.
Yeah,
it is part and parcel of their religious belief. I don't have any problem with that. You know that walking in the front door. But what about the senior? What about Cam Rising at Utah when this bill takes effect on May 1st? Got to get every one of my NIL deals approved. Well, okay. But yeah, we don't like Ken Garf. We're going to have to send you over to signers. Sorry.
What if you wanted to do a CBD deal, right? Because this has always been the debate. Hey, well, the bill says can't do marijuana deals. Obviously, CBD is not marijuana. But it's in the same family. So where are we at on that? Right? Like, it's those fine lines.
Yeah.
Where if I'm a player, I'm like, yeah, this may not be a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And you guys be the litmus test. If I'm making too much out of this, please feel free to get involved in it and tell me so. I am somebody that believes we have to share opinions on stuff like this. I think it's really important. And it would not surprise me if most people were, Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. Mark Hales. He is in your House Senate district. It's not, you won't vote for it. Yeah, I won't vote for him. I won't vote for him. There's not a, and listen, Mark Hales is a local politician here in Utah. Are you in favor of local legislation, Mark, for NIL? Like, this is what I need to understand this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why we need it. That's the problem. I'm struggling to understand what it, like, in the pre-show meeting, behind the scenes, top secret, meeting. You asked, what was the point of this? What were we trying to accomplish here? What was the why behind this? And to me, the why, based on what's in here and the timing of this, the why is they wanted to win. That is what it says to me. You wanted to be able to say, hey, we got NIL legislation done in a time when there's no NIL legislation. And we want to provide a framework for other states. We're protecting your kids. Right? Like, we're protecting the kids. That's what this is.
It's wild to me. It's wild to me. I am just, please, I am begging you to vote in your local elections.
And then what are you going to do when fresh NIL legislation comes out that's higher than you? Are we going to strike this down then, or?
And again, no, I'm not going to talk about Republicans. It is frustrating to me as somebody that's registered a Republican.
Yeah.
I grew up in Reaganomics. I grew up as a Republican. When did we start being so restrictive? Like, it's wild to me. Anyway, James, Oak State James, good morning. Monty and Jake, come to Texas.
Okay, I will say, Texas, and I love you guys, Texas has its own set of issues, to put it nicely. The type of money that you cannot spend to get a really nice house there is pretty ridiculous.
It is. Plenty of tacos, barbecue, football, SEC, Big 12, ACC football, September 28th, FSU at SMU. Beyond the fact that it's hotter than piss water in Texas.
Dude. I'll never forget that. When we walked out of Jerry World for Big 12 Media Days, that was gnar.
Dude. But yeah, Texas is great. Hero 75. What happens when a kid whose family themselves live in Utah, but they play in another state, makes an NIL deal in another state? Do they have to follow Utah laws since they live there when not in school? They do not. This is wholly about schools and NIL deals done in the state of Utah.
And hey, maybe that's the angle if you're an athlete, right? Like, if you're on the Utah football team, hey, let's do out-of-state NIL deals with national brands that are trying to get into Utah.
You still have to do it.
Like,
you still have it. All this is going to do is drive kids out of the state.
Yeah.
And we have here in Utah, those of you who don't know, Utah is a prolific football powerhouse. This state puts out fantastic football players, or did. Now they're going to go.
Yeah.
Now they're going to go to, my guy that went to USC, Porter Gustin. But hey, yeah. I'm just little old panic button Monty. Little old panic button Monty.
Trigger
you know
Monty.
Me. Trigger Monty. Tom Dean, politicians, you can't make an NIL deal with a company that didn't contribute to my campaign.
Exactly.
You're not that far off. Steve Walgamot Jr. What's up, Steve? An example of how whack Utah is. I'm a loan officer, and to obtain my license in Utah, I have to do 15 hours of pre-education. Most other states are 2 hours or less. We have a lot of regulation here.
Yeah.
Which is great because anybody that's here will tell you, oh, California, what a joke. How about all that regulation they got out there, Monty?
Red tape.
Hey, Monty, you've never seen so much red tape in your life, boy.
Better start cutting, boy.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to get my NMLS. I'm going to be a mortgage guy here. All right, here's your 15 hours of pre-education. My kid plays football. Yeah, good luck getting an NIL deal here, sir.
So like on one hand, I like it because it keeps people out of the state, but I just see stuff like this and I'm like, dude, like, what are we doing?
Do you really think people know the rules and laws of a state before they move there?
I don't think they know all the rules and laws, but what I do think they know is your reputation. And Utah has a reputation. There's no question about it.
Go black.
Go black.
You're free in America as long as you follow our literally 1 billion laws.
Yeah, right? Like, come on.
Mark Hales says, I'm not in favor of government control or regulation. Less is more. Less is get out. Get out. Like, I want less government involved in my life. Taxes, I get it. All right. Do you know how hard it is to pay your taxes online in Utah, by the way? I'm trying to pay my taxes. Right? Like, I'm trying to pay my state taxes. You can't log on. Anyway. Yeah, less is more. Get out of my life. OG Gary. Go Tigers. All right. I'll run for office and make sports gambling legal in Utah. Good luck with that, right? Good luck with that. Steve Stepanik. I'm from Kansas. We have a Republican river. You do. Mike Smith, not Reaganomics. It was trickle-down economics for those old enough to remember. I miss that Republican Party. And the truth is, not to go all political on your ass, but the truth is, don't identify as a Democrat or a Republican.
Seriously.
We're Americans. And until we get back to that philosophy, we're lost. We're out in the woods, dude. Like, we have to stop being Republicans and Democrats, and we have to start becoming Americans. We've lost that. We've lost that way. And again, you're seeing now all of the division because it's election season. You're going to see violence. You're going to see violent crime. You are going to see issues at polling places. You're going to see issues the day after the election. You're going to see it's going to happen because we're not Americans anymore. We're Democrats or Republicans. And
damn, if you're on the other side of that line.
Or if you're on the other side of my line. If you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, you're both assholes, right? That's the way we've become in this country.
Yes.
And we're so worried about, well, hey, has that kid got documents? Well, he can't be on our soccer team then. Fix the homeless problem.
Yeah.
Fix the real estate problem in this country. Do you understand that the real estate industry is shrinking? Do you know how difficult it is to be a mortgage broker in this country right now? Have you thought about that at all? Like, we're shrinking and we're so focused on undocumented kids being allowed to play sports in the same state where we've got teenagers and young 20-somethings dying from opioid addiction every single day. Fent is such a problem in this country and right here in this state. But no, can't have those undocumented kids playing handball. You keep them out of my pickleball barn, boy.
For real.
Right? Like, that's, let's just be honest and say that's who we are. That's who we are in Utah. That's who we are right now. Giggity says, OG, I'll move to Utah only to vote for you. I'll vote for you as long as you disavow your LSU affiliation. Go Tigers.
And make the Monty Show the national show or the state show of Utah.
OG Gary says, appreciate you, Giggity. Yeah. Can we get a proclamation, please?
Yeah.
Stepanik says, good morning, Monty. Hello.
Hey, Monty.
They do not trigger Monty.
Trigger. Okay. Again, first of all, Steve.
Trigger Monty.
Steve, it's with a Y, not an E. Please. Okay.
Relax.
Trigger Monty.
Oh, my God. Mrs. Monty has spoken.
Mrs. Monty.
For every man in here that says less is more, I really hope you uphold a woman's right to choose. What?
You know,
somebody get a fire extinguisher. She lit a match. But it's a great example.
This is a code 10 abort.
It is a great example. We don't do that either. Compulsory salty. Can you vote none of the above? Exactly. Amen, Monty. It's time to do what's best for Americans, not for the party.
Seriously.
Do you guys, hey, I know this is a closely guarded. Did you check the age of the two dudes running for president? Do they represent you? They don't represent me. I'm going to have to vote for one of them. They don't represent me. They don't represent me. Now, does the president have a huge impact on your life? They don't. But you won't even take the time to vote in your local election. Are you registered to vote? How many people in here are willing to admit they're not registered to vote?
Mm-hmm.
Are you registered to vote?
Yes.
How many people here are willing to admit? Because the number of Americans that do not participate in elections is shocking.
Yeah.
Because it's laws like this one. We wrote a law and passed it overwhelmingly where we made it a law that we have to give our driver's license to porn companies.
Seems smart.
I said that did you say that out loud before this? You made it a law. And then when I asked you, because the guy came on the show who wrote the bill, I asked you, hey, who's responsible for making, the porn company's responsible for making sure that the documents are handled properly.
So,
right.
What you're telling me is that we don't really care what happens after. We just want another win.
And I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Careful, Trigger Monty.
I'm going to say that if you're somebody that is professionally making pornography, I'm going to wonder about your scruples, your morals, and your ethics. And pornography is so unscrupulous. You wrote a bill that said I had to give my license to prove that I'm old enough, but you wrote a bill that said I had to give that to unscrupulous people. Did you think this through?
Nope.
No, you didn't.
Nope.
You didn't. Mike Smith, there are no politicians who truly are for less government. They only want less government for things that fit into political ideology. I just think we need less. We need the president, our senators, our state legislatures reaching into our pocket far less instead of far more. Giggity, still waiting for these record-breaking corporate profits trickle down past the CEO pay. Oh, you idealists. Brandon Butler, this state has become absurd. They keep stepping into our homes. The theocracy is trying to protect us from ourselves in the name of our kids. I can raise my kids myself.
Seriously. That's what I'm saying.
Now, granted, I'm a bad example because look what happened.
Yeah.
But I think I will continue to rant against this. We don't have freedom in this country. We're not free.
And the hard part is living in Utah is great, man. Outside of this type of stuff, it's great. I mean, it's a beautiful state. There's a lot to like about it, but this type of stuff burns people out.
And Jimmy and Susan, who in Utah have 4 or 5 kids and probably work multiple jobs, how involved in politics do you think they are? They're involved in work, their kids, and sleep. And that's the reality of it. Do you know how hard it is? And then on top of that, do you know how hard it is to be a parent of a 10-year-old girl in this country?
Mm-hmm.
And then how difficult it is to be the parent of a 10-year-old boy in this country. And is it any wonder that we make their lives more difficult through laws and bills? And it's not. UW fan Jim, can a high school kid get an NIL deal from a local burger shack? Why not? Yeah, you can. You can, actually. Harry Austin, most Americans are in the middle who are lost in today's political machine. Totally agree. I agree with Chris. Vote none of the above. You can't.
Yeah, you don't have an option. The conversation is not vote none of the above. It's vote the least of the worst.
And exactly. By sitting on the sidelines, you're part of the problem. You're enabling. And I'm telling you, it is state legislature level that impacts your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you were talking about there is what happened to me. I mean, it's not that I was like, oh, I don't want to vote. It wasn't like, hey, I'm intentionally choosing not to participate. It's more, hey, we do a lot of stuff every day, and voting wasn't priority number one on the things that we have to get done. And so what ends up happening is what you talked about, right? We all work a lot, we all do a lot of things, and we get engrossed in life. And then you're like, oh, the election was last week or whatever. Like,
but the amazing part of it, who wants to go to the mailbox?
Yeah, nobody.
I mean, when's the last time you wrote a check, dude? I can't think of the last time I wrote a check. Can't think of it. I can't tell you the last time I used a debit card, or all of my bills are online.
Yeah.
So there's nothing much that comes into my mailbox. Some of our partners write us checks and mail them to us. Okay. Other than that, what am I getting in the mail? Not good news.
Birthday cards.
Yeah, that's every once a year, but not good news. I get a bunch of junk mail.
Yeah, you get the Costco pamphlet with all the coupons in it.
I get coupons. I get, hey, Monty, here's a disguised envelope for Comcast Business that I drop in the shredder.
Yeah, don't you love those? The ones that are unmarked completely.
Open them up, drop them in a shredder, man. That's what happens. Like, it's such a waste of time.
Yeah.
And the thing that I would, as a side, if you're marketing to consumers through their mailbox,
you're not marketing. Just telling you.
Good luck. Good luck.
If you're doing billboards, you're doing paper, you're not getting to who you want to get to.
Yep. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, Gary says. I'm an economist. I vote based on economy. Economy runs all, but you don't know. I'm tired of hearing about us being in a recession.
Yeah.
And who's telling us we're in a recession? Politicians. And they keep pounding that message. We don't have a job problem in this country. We don't have an inflation problem in this country. Like, we have a real estate problem because you won't do anything about real estate. You won't do it. They won't do. There's too much money in the lobby. They won't do anything about it. And here we are. We're just going to continue to sputter along, and houses aren't going to get sold, and mortgages aren't going to get written. We're doing refis. Do you know right now? Do you know I was reading a study or a poll that talked about that Gen Z does not, the generation after you, Gen Z?
Yeah, Gen Z.
Gen Z and millennials.
Yeah.
Do not consider home ownership as part of their American dream.
Yeah,
and it's in the 70 percentile.
Yeah, it's not.
I just said that Gen Z and millennials, the future leaders of our country, do not view home ownership as part of their American dream.
But I think the why behind that's really important. It's not that we don't want that, right? It's not like, oh, yeah.
It's unattainable.
It's not like, oh, like owning a house is dumb or something, or it's an opinion thing. It is simply, hey, owning a home financially does not work for 9 out of 10 people that are my age or younger because of the path they've been kind of trained to take. And honestly, like, just talking about like me, because I think it's an interesting comparison. Like, I'm just sitting here saying, even if you could afford it, I don't think it's smart to do it. I don't know anybody who's going to sit here and be like, yeah, let's sign up for 8%, 7% on a 30-year mortgage. And then what's going to happen is, and I saw this point the other day and I thought it was fascinating because nobody talks about this. What's going to happen is we're going to do all those refis. But what is nobody telling you? Nobody's telling you that by refi, you're going to pay more money on that 30-year loan than you would have by just simply paying the original 30-year loan. That's what we're doing to people.
Yeah,
we're hiding
it is. It is. It's wild to me.
So then you get NIL bills where you're like, oh, yeah, this is great. This is great. We're protecting kids and everything's, kosher. It's like, no, it's really not. That's just how this state is run. And the problem is if you're not in the LDS community as a politician, you're probably not going to win anything. That's the problem.
Yep. Tom Dean for $2. Not voting at all equals voting for the winner. Yes, it does. Mark Hales, I did a consult with a mortgage broker and he hasn't done a loan in 18 months. You want to hear something crazy? It's funny you bring that up, Mark. I was talking to a mortgage broker the other day. This woman, do you know that she's making more money doing lashes and brow work? She's making more money doing lashes and brows than she is doing mortgage. She hasn't done a conventional in over a year. All the deals she's done in the last year have been refis.
Mm-hmm.
And now we were talking about it, and she was telling me, hey, I'm refining some refis I did 5 years ago. Like, it's crazy to me how people are trying to find money in their homes.
So these kids that are affected by this NIL bill are the Gen Z people that you were just talking about.
Correct.
So we're going to sit here and we're going to be like, oh, yeah, this NIL bill, no problem. But then 10 years from now, because they couldn't make NIL money because you restricted them, we're going to wonder and shame them for not buying a house.
And we're also going to tell them how bad social media is, which it doesn't have to be bad. We let it be bad.
Correct.
Right? Because there are teenagers, like, again, if you have a son or a daughter, put a golf club in their hand the minute they pop out of the womb.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much money golf influencers are making on social media right now? Do you know how much money lash and brow people? This mortgage broker I was talking to was saying she makes more money in the TikTok creator fund doing brow videos than she does on mortgages.
Yeah, and I think that what's so interesting is, again, for millennials and Gen Z, the money's in transactions, transactional business models. So yeah, obviously mortgage broker is a transactional business, of course, but it's not high transactional. It's not a 20, hey, I'm going to give you $20 or $100 to do my lashes, whatever it is, right? Everyone's different. But the point is that it's not that low entry level where you can help a lot of people and then you can make money by doing that. Obviously, being a mortgage broker is a process. It takes time. You're always 30 days behind that next deal, right? Like, so when she's like, hey, I haven't done a deal in a year.
And she's in her middle 50s, I would remind you.
Yeah, not like a new rep or something. Like,
she's not in her 20s or 30s. She's in her middle 50s.
So then you start
lash,
thinking
brow,
about,
and TikTok creator fund more than refis.
How is that situation for that woman going to work out with her retiring by, let's call it 65, just to be nice?
Yeah. Wasikowski, good morning to you. Monty is projecting again.
Projecting what?
What does that mean? Giggity. Mrs. Monty with the haymaker. She loves those.
She don't play no games, man.
Nope. Steve Stepanek, I vote. Thank you. You do not have to vote for either presidential candidate. You can vote third party depending on your state. But the problem is when you vote third party or you write in, what are you doing? It's what Tom Dean said. You're voting for the winner. That's what you're doing. You're look how close the last election was. I mean, we're talking about in this country, and I wish people understood this. Mobilize your voters at the local level because those are the ones that make a difference for you.
Yes.
I promise you, it's much like being a sports fan. You don't matter in Washington.
No.
You know how you matter in Washington? Don't vote for your senator if you don't like what he's doing. How is Mitch McConnell still employed? Like, the guy's walking dead.
Yeah.
And he just resigned.
By anybody's measure, that guy is not healthy.
Like, how was Dianne Feinstein still employed? How is Nancy Pelosi still employed?
Yeah.
They're 100 years old.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
And I think, the one final thought, the scary thing is, to me anyway, is that eventually the Trump-Biden situation is going to pass us, right? Like, that's not going to be 100-year chapter. We're coming to the end here.
But look at Marge the other day. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Did you guys see this with a BBC reporter asked her a point-blank question, and Marjorie lost her mind.
Why don't you fuck off?
She said that to the BBC.
Why don't you fuck off?
Like,
why is that okay?
That's the next generation of politicians. That's who it is. Whether you like it or not, that's who it is.
Yeah.
And my struggle is this is now bleeding over into my sports life. And I'm good if I can just enjoy my NBA, if I can just enjoy my college football and NFL.
Golf.
I'm super stoked. Yeah, let me enjoy my golf. Let me enjoy my Chicago Cubs baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Let me enjoy the Bulls and Jazz last night in a slugfest.
By the way, what the hell are you doing by their bench, dude?
I don't know.
Like, come on. Be better.
Let me enjoy my sports. Don't legislate my sports, dick.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to enjoy my sports. Can't even do that.
Nope.
Can't even do that. It's wild to me. OG Salty says Australians get fined if we don't vote. I really wish people would vote.
Yeah.
I truly do. Dustin Osterman. Good morning, Dustin. You need an ID for porn, but not to vote. No, wrong show. Salty, we need that here as well. I don't know that we need to find people. It used to be that going to the ballot box was special.
Yeah, it used to be presidential. Like when I was a kid in school, I specifically remember during election season, like it used to be a thing. Like you would talk about it in class.
Yes.
You would talk about like, hey, like when are you guys going to vote? Let's vote together.
During
like,
the election
used to be a thing.
When I was in high school, and granted, I was a debate guy and I was a political guy, but during the election, we used to have a class called civics. You might have heard of it, and it has nothing to do with Honda. We used to do debates. I remember Gary Ward was my civics teacher. I remember we used to, and I don't remember one specifically, but a local law would happen. And he would bring that to class, and we would do a week-long, write a bill, write a law, have a debate, pass or fail. And I used to love that. I think we did it twice during my time in civics, and I loved it. I loved debate class.
Civics class was not available to me when I was in school.
I loved civics.
Yeah.
I loved learning about voting. I loved learning about how government works, what local elections are. I will never forget, like growing up as a kid in Chicago, the first time I met a mayoral candidate, his name was Bernard Epton. And this is in the 80s, mind you. And I was starstruck. Like I loved Eddie Verdoliak, like the old Chicago alderman. The like, to me, politics is something that you should be as passionate about politics as you are about the Chicago Cubs. Yeah. And I was. And the last 10 years, it just all goes away. And I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how you bring it back. Harry Austin, here's the hard truth. People that we need to run for office will not run because of all the BS that comes with it. Who wants to do that job? Remember when being a cop or a firefighter was like awesome?
It's being a head coach in college football right now. What did Chip Kelly say?
What did Nick Saban say?
What did Nick Saban
say? All of you guys who were like, oh, you're full of it. Remember that argument we had like a month ago when Nick Saban retired? Look what Nick Saban finally said. Everybody, where are all the haters who said Nick Saban retired because he was too old to do the job? That's actually not the truth.
Nope.
He said our program here was always built on how much value we create for your future and your personal development, academic success, and graduating and developing an NFL career on the field. And why did he say that? Because 70 or 80% of the players you talk to all want to know two things. What assurances do I have that I'm going to play, because they're thinking about transferring, and how much you're going to pay me? So again, go ahead and make the argument that Nick Saban didn't retire because of NIL in the portal.
Yeah. You understand? I understand it perfectly clearly. I think it makes perfect sense from his standpoint.
Chip Kelly yesterday straight up said being a head coach is too much. He talked about how he couldn't sit in positional meetings anymore because his phone wouldn't stop and he had fires to put out constantly. And he couldn't focus on player development. Couldn't focus on game planning.
It almost feels like major college football programs now. It almost feels like you need a guy that works with the head coach who answers all those calls.
And they're doing it. They're doing it.
Like if you're a head coach, like I totally empathize with guys like Chip Kelly and Nick Saban. Hey man, like you've been coaching a long time, and coaching's always been about developing the kid, taking the kid from A to B, and B hopefully means getting drafted into the NFL, right? But now that's not what it's about, because a new set of expectations has been set into these kids before they join your program. And so now you're dealing with this, and then you get all the phone calls, and you just, it puts you in such a bad spot. So that's what I'm saying. Like yes, it is issues like this NIL situation with the legislature are definitely at play. But I think the other scary part that kind of hides in the background in the shadows is the expectation that these kids have when they come in and they're saying, hey, I'm one of your best players on the roster. How much are you going to get me paid? That's a really tough question to be asking a head coach, because a head coach's job is not to get you paid.
I think that's why you're seeing so many of these programs now put in chief of staffs.
Yeah.
When did Lou Holtz have a chief of staff? Right? Like, you look at the way the game has changed. And I think Chip Kelly has talked about this too. You as a head coach can never turn your phone off. 24/7, 365. Literally 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
You cannot turn your phone off. And I think the savvy head coaches are learning, oh, my kid got arrested. Okay, well, that's on the chief of staff. That's your fixer.
Yes.
Oh, a water pipe broke in the locker room right now. All right, that's Jimmy's job.
Yeah, let's put the asset on standby, okay?
Oh, Kevin got an NIL deal with fans only. Steve, you're going to have to go handle that. And at some point, what happens? At some point, it all just starts going to Steve. And I think that's what you're seeing with Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart is very much insulated. And now that the NCAA had its balls clipped, insulating you is really much less of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at Jim Harbaugh. I'm just going to walk away and go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh needed a really strong chief of staff. Because, again, not to keep making the comparison, if you're the president, how important is your chief of staff?
Crucial.
So aren't you the president of Michigan football?
Yeah. Well, and I think in a lot of ways, again, I've always believed this. In a lot of ways, the head football coach of any Michigan level job, right?
Yes.
You are, as far as the public's concerned, you're not the president of the football program. You're the face of the school, dude.
That's right.
Like, you're not.
That's right.
Nobody. If I said, hey, who's the head coach of Michigan hockey or Michigan tennis or whatever.
Not only do you not know, you don't care.
You don't give a damn, right? So it's like, hey, if you're one of these head coaches in college football right now, you're whether you like it or not, if you're going to take that job, you have responsibility much higher than just the football program. So how do you not have a
Joey McGuire at Texas Tech?
Exactly. Precisely.
It was Pete Carroll at USC. And now, is Lincoln Riley the face of USC? Not yet. But if he goes to the college football playoff and wins, that'll be the only thing you'll see. Because you don't know who the basketball coach at USC is. You know who the football coach is.
Why do we know who the basketball coach at Michigan is?
Well, because he's in trouble.
Well,
because
but you probably wouldn't know him if they were just chilling. If they were just chilling and doing what most normal programs do, you wouldn't know who Juwan Howard is as a basketball coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my point
you're exactly
is,
right.
Like again, whether it's college football or otherwise, the red tape nonsense BS that you have to deal with is becoming too much for these guys. And yeah, Kirby Smart loves coaching so much that he's willing to put in more positions to filter the BS out of his life.
But even Kirby Smart, right? Kirby Smart, all SRT.
Yeah, first team all SRT.
Tanner Plummer in our members only group put in a story about how Jalen Carter at Georgia had gotten a flagrant speeding ticket a year before that whole incident went down after they won the national championship and a staffer died.
Yeah.
He had gotten a ticket in his SRT, which, again, as pointed out in the group as well, if you're not a member of our members only content, you're
missing
crazy.
out. Yeah.
Our members only Instagram group is phenomenal. SRT stands for Street Racing Technology.
Yeah.
At Georgia. So Kirby needed a chief of staff. Speaking of which, Raider Trojan upgrades to members only content.
Let's go, baby. Hit me in those DMs.
Get DM Jake, SLC Jake on Instagram. He'll get you into our members only Instagram group, Raider Trojan. Appreciate you supporting the show. Thank you very much. Coming up in 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes from now, Jake Retzloff, the starting quarterback at BYU, joins us. Is he the starting quarterback at BYU? I thought it was very interesting. Did you see the story that blew up yesterday about Jake Retzloff? And I know this, nobody knew this. He worked with John Beck over the offseason.
What?
Sports Illustrated did a big story about how Jake Retzloff and John Beck worked together last summer.
I'm for real.
Maybe you should watch the Monty Show.
Hey, Monty.
Talked about that last week. Eric and Raleigh. We have a greed problem in this country.
Jesus.
Jeez, are you kidding me? Yeah, we do. Baston Mapes. Mapes, good morning. I hate election years because of how ugly it gets, but I'll continue to stay optimistic with freedoms that I know I enjoy here that I wouldn't enjoy elsewhere. And it's true. Somewhere else, rather. It's true. We take for granted that we have plumbing. We have internet. We have Jack in the Box.
We don't have the threat of our house getting bombed.
We are not worried about the Houthis.
The mooks.
We're not worried about the mooks. We're not worried about, hey, is the government going to bomb me today? We're not worried about that in this country yet. And it's why I say it. And I know like our TikTok bro that says the world's going to end by 2027. Hey, man, live every day like it's your last.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you should. Like Mrs. Monty, there's an update on the Subi.
Do not skip that update.
And justice for all.
What?
I won't. Day Old Donuts, my guy, what's up? Guys, it's been a while. Health issues have occurred. Oh, no. But I just wanted to say good morning and thank you for your show.
I hope you feel better,
dude, I hope you're okay.
Yeah.
I hope you're good, man. I hope you're good. We'll be thinking about you. He's got a bike there. My wife rolled into the house with a Ferrari yesterday. I mean, a bicycle yesterday.
Beautiful bike.
What's it? It's a Fasari, I think it's called.
Fasari.
It's a local manufacturer here in Salt Lake City. My wife I don't ride bicycles. I would love to. I'm trying to convince her that I should get an e-bike. We should get e-bikes together and we can ride around, cruise around our neighborhood.
Okay, so what's the update on the car? Five. We've had a very serious show. 5 minutes of levity. We'll get back to sports. What's the update? What's the update?
The Monty Show, as always, is presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. It's been contentious. Is Mrs. Monty getting a Subaru? I'll tell you in 15 seconds.
When you've been injured in an accident, you need a lawyer, and you deserve an advocate. Speaking with an attorney is simple and 100% free. We're available 24/7 for your convenience, and we'll take on the claims process so you can rest easy. You deserve an advocate.
BYU quarterback Jake Retzloff in 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The update on the Subi is last night. So Jake's beloved drives a Subaru Forester.
Yeah.
And it's one of the units that Mrs. Monty had been looking at. Naturally, because she's way smarter than we are. She says, well, why don't I just drive, Mrs. Jake's Forester? Okay.
Cool.
Takes it out for a ride last night. Hated it.
What did she say?
I think she just doesn't like how no frills it is.
Yeah.
Now, understand, we currently, Mrs. Monty drives a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon that is top of the line. Leather seats, upgraded everything. We pimp that thing out like it's amazing. You go from a $50,000 unit to a $20,000 unit. It's not going to be easy.
Well, I think, I think that's always been the conversation though, right? Like, I think that, so this is the hard part with cars. You can't have it both ways.
Nope.
You can't bitch about your payment and then say, well, if I step down, I don't like the car that I get. And the problem is, not the problem, the challenge is that Mrs. Monty's not someone who's like, yeah, I know exactly what I want.
But she's not a car person at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's so thrilled. And not that I'm bragging. She bought this $3,000 bicycle, and it's beautiful.
It is. I love the color.
It's a huge upgrade. Yeah, it's pink.
Yeah.
Who are we kidding? It's a huge upgrade from what she had. And she's serious about riding her bike. She does triathlon. She is in a group. She has a group of friends that all ride bikes. Like, she's more excited about that than getting a new car. And it was heartwarming when she said, well, maybe we should try to find an A3 Sportback. Last night we're on the couch.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's the other way to go.
That's the conversation.
I mean, if you need, look, and that's why I've always said, like, I've never tried to sell or say the Subaru is really nice or really performance oriented. It is, but it's not crappy. It's just not as nice of a car as you guys are accustomed to. You guys
just
like
have
nice
to,
things.
You have to put more cheese on the wheel for the mice to get up the hill.
You do. You do.
When you go from a 2.5 liter V6 to a 2 liter 4-banger, not turbo.
Yeah. I get it. I completely understand it. I get it. 100%. 100%. So
she's going to drive the Outback.
She'll hate that. She'll hate it.
Why?
Because it's the same. She should drive the turbo one. If she didn't like the Forester last night, she shouldn't even waste her time on the non-turbo Outback.
Yeah.
It's worse than the Forester Sport.
Yeah. All things are right in the world.
But again, I remember when we first started out on the, hey, trade the Rubicon in for whatever it's going to be, we said Audi for a reason. Quattro, it's nicer on the inside. It's easy to drive.
Ben Simmons out for the year.
What
Nerve
else is new?
impingement in his back.
Dude, just retire, bro. Honestly, just retire.
It's over.
Like,
all right,
dude.
Let's get a couple more of your comments in here. Aaron Wilson has decided to join the show once more.
Wow.
Hello, Aaron. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, Aaron Wilson. Appreciate you very much. Thank you. And congratulations to Kill Bao, who was gifted a membership. You know.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Right. Exactly right. Let's see. Cam Harrison. I had civics class in high school. Best class I had. Loved it. Kill Ball says, yes, everyone does it, though. Both parties are two wings of the same globalist bird. You're not wrong, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wrong. John DeLon, but Monty, the Cubs suck. Thank you.
But you signed Ballinger.
Thank you. You know. It's fine. It's fine. OG Salty says the significance of politics should be part of the educational curriculum. We can't even agree on what books should be in the library.
It's wild. It is absolutely wild.
I'm telling you, man, it's different now for kids. If you're a parent, you've got to be on your kid, dude. Like, you have got to be talking to them about like all of the and no matter which side of the line you fall on, whether it is like, I think the rhetoric around, you know, the January 6th or any of the Trump trials, specifically Donnie, because of how divisive that topic is.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a daughter, how are you not talking to your daughter about the E. Jean Carroll case?
Yeah.
It's sex, sexual assault, men of power. How are you not talking? No matter what side of it you come down on.
Yeah, and I think, you know, just so that people don't light us up in the comment section for hating on Donnie, like, even if you don't use Donnie as an example, there are a million of those type of examples that you should be talking to your kids about.
Well, and I would say about Joe Biden as well. How are you not talking about Joe Biden and his age and his? I mean, if you're a parent of children that are, if your kids are 10, 11, 12, 13 and above, how are you not talking to them about our politics?
Yes.
It's going to impact them for the rest of their lives in a massive way. OG Gary, an educated populace is hard to control and dumb populace is easy to control. Right now, I'm sorry to say 90% are in the latter populace. I think we are massively undereducated.
Mm-hmm.
Massively. Robert Fowler, people care about sports like they actually part of the team and their life depends on it if their team wins or loses, but yet people don't care about our country, millions of problems and don't care to.
It's a great point.
I agree. Vote, pretty sad and depressing. It is. Mates, sounds like a job for sign stealer guy. Exactly.
Well, that's a great point, man.
Sign stealer guy.
You know, Mike Smith, many in Florida have dropped out of the local level of government due to overreach in information they have to provide on financial basis. Yes. It's not easy to be a politician these days. It's not easy to be anything.
No.
Dakota, don't just vote, be informed and educated. A lot of these politicians, both sides, thrive on the ignorance of their voter base. Ding. Just voting without knowledge of the issues will do more harm than good. And that's a really good point. It needs to be said. Yes, I think you should vote. But read the ballot initiatives. Read the voting record. It's not hard. Google search your local politician. Their voting records are online. Everything they've written, everything they've sponsored, every way they've voted.
Well, and I think that comment 2 or 3 ago about how like people treat sports like it's life and death or whatever.
Yes.
Like if you use the same logic on voting that you did on watching a basketball game at night, give yourself 2 hours and some dinner to go through the ballot and look up the initiatives and understand what they're doing and not doing and what your thought is on that, because you're going to feel like, I've personally experienced this, and when I have done it, you feel kind of accomplished when you've gone through it all and you're like, all right, cool. Like, I feel like I made some educated decisions here, and like, I understand this, that, and the other. And, so you feel accomplished, like you did something. So I wouldn't just pick it up, open the envelope, and just, go A, B, C, D, E, F on it. Like I would actually look into this stuff.
Yeah, totally agree. Let me get down the list a little bit. What's up, Adam Monks? What's going on in the GZ? Mike Smith. I'm sure she wants a vehicle that also provides enough room for her bike and other possible items for when she's doing outdoor activities.
So the A3.
Certainly.
I would be curious if the bike would fit in the A3 reasonably.
I would too. And the problem is the equity position is upside down. You're looking at 89,000 miles for $40,000
on A3s.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause they don't make them anymore.
You got to get a queue.
Yeah. They don't make them anymore. It's tough. I totally agree. Mike also says times have changed. When I was in high school, you had to be of age to buy tobacco products, yet we had a designated smoking section on campus.
Wild.
Yeah. Me too. Mapes, who's been a member for 13 months.
Let's go,
Thank
baby.
you very much. Boston Mapes. I teach my daughter to look through the clickbait headlines and vote on things she cares about. She doesn't live in fear by being educated. Yeah, I think you have to. The education piece is a big deal.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Stepanik, comment dump. Glenn, good morning, folks. Let's let common sense prevail. The U.S. massively undereducated. Thanks, Texas. Book banner state. I think the education system in this country, I would agree with that. I think we're just massively out of alignment. We truly are. Stepanik, let me go back to you. Florida judge took a YouTuber First and Second Amendment away. It's called What the Hales. A Florida judge took a YouTuber's First and Second Amendment away. It's called What the Hales. I don't know what you mean by that. Explain that. Little Jizzy. Jake telling us to look into information before voting when he didn't even know that people were voting yesterday. Because you don't go to your mailbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll candidly tell you, why a lot of people, and he's not the only one. I heard from a ton of people like, oh, dude, I didn't know it was election day either. Lay off. You know why? Because nobody watches the news anymore. Nobody watches. When's the last time you turned on your late local news? When's the last time you watched, heaven forbid, CNN or Fox? When's the last, I don't even get on Twitter very much anymore. Do you know how many people get pissed off? Like, I bet you if I go to my DMs right now, I have 10 DMs that are like, why are you ignoring my DMs? Because I don't read them.
Yeah.
Once a week. That's it. Once a week. That's it. Mike Smith, I watch this channel as well, Steve Stepanik. I watch that channel as well. What channel are you guys talking about? Ken Williams. What's up, Ken? I told my grandkids to look at facts and evidence and look at the laws. Don't vote blind. You can't vote blind. Totally agree. We need more than two choices. Ding. Imagine the Yankees and Dodgers automatically in the World Series every year. Yeah, it's called the Big Ten and the SEC, dude.
Yeah. Yep. It is. It is.
Oh, my God. Adam Monks, when are you guys going to play Black Rock Golf? We need to play. We do need to play.
Yeah, bro.
Black Rock's tough to get on right now.
We're playing this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to River Oaks in Salt Lake City this weekend. Mountain Mama, I guess young people don't know what Super Tuesday means. They don't, because they don't watch. I'm telling you, the median demographic on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, it's old. Millennials and Gen Zers don't watch the news. They don't. Caleb, people would probably remember Election Day if they were holidays. Probably. Mapes, the news is close to unwatchable these days. I watch independent journalists. The problem is it's all negative.
Yeah.
It's all negative. It's very difficult to watch.
And the other thing I would say is outside of Super Tuesday and presidential elections, what value is the news bringing me? What?
How does it enrich your life?
Yeah, like what am I, you know what I mean? Like,
This is a thing for me lately. What value do you bring to my life? Like, we talk about this every day with some people we do business with. Do you really bring value to my life?
It's like Cowherd yesterday.
Am I going to spend time with you?
Like, you're talking about a guy in Colin Cowherd, and it's not just him, but him because he did this. You're talking about a dude in Cowherd who goes on this 90-second rant about how he's going to be the show that you can come to, and don't get too burned out on politics. And he tongue-in-cheekly says, "Hey, make sure you watch Fox News." And he did it in a way where it was very clear he was saying, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't be watching Fox News." And I'm just sitting here saying, like, dude, do you understand that you're not in a position to be talking politics on your show? The only reason we can talk about this stuff is because we work for ourselves. We work for ourselves. We don't have like this, the suits, as they all refer to them as, coming down on us saying like, "Why'd you mention that?" Or "What are you talking about here?" Like, we don't have that at play here. We can talk about whatever we want. And it's like, okay, Colin, you're only enriching people's lives by talking sports. And 9 times out of 10, I only hear about you for your dumbass takes on stuff a year ago.
He basically said, "I can't believe we're down to Biden and Trump again. They're so old. This sucks." Yeah. That was his take. Oh, by the way, watch Fox News. That was his take. His co-host, and I don't remember the guy's name, was trying to get him back to sports.
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, thank God we got sports to talk about, Colin." And Colin's like, "Joe Biden's old. Donald Trump's old." Well, Colin, thank God. Because Colin was like, "Oh, God, I hate it. It's election year. It's terrible." "Well, we'll have the NFL to talk about. How about those Bills?" "Well, Joe Biden." And Colin just wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
It was so awkward, dude. It was
so
awkward.
The point is that what value do you bring to my life? I'm not watching. Dude, I don't think about Colin Cowherd on the day-to-day. I don't know about you. Me personally, I've stopped watching Pat McAfee. I've stopped.
We have not been watching lately. He did a thing a couple of weeks ago. Am I the only one who thinks that Pat McAfee's gotten weird now? It's awkward to watch.
It feels odd because that ESPN dynamic is at play where he's constantly
I didn't
playing
even
that
think
game.
of that. Yeah, he went after Norby Williamson again.
And so it just is, it's weird. There's a lot of toxicity in the air right now around sports talk, and I don't quite.
Well, this Aaron Rodgers thing yesterday.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers went on a podcast that is not based in reality. And I'm not going to play any of the weird stuff he said. He was on there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But he did say this.
How can I be my best with my diet today, with my fluid intake? Just everything down to a T to try and get better. And I got back on the practice field late in the season and couldn't get to a top speed sprinting, but really been in a good place rehab-wise from the start and feeling really good. And, again, I'm hopeful I can play 2 or 3 or 4 more years. But you need to have some good fortune there too.
It's crazy to me. 2, 3, 4 years. 2, 3, 4 more years.
And I do think, because it's an Achilles thing, you look at what Kevin Durant's been able to do, I think 2, 3, 4 more years is realistic for him. But
and then on top of that, the news came out how toxic Aaron Rodgers was in the Jets locker room last year. But why is Aaron Rodgers toxic? Because he is he's a Kennedy guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys hear what Kennedy said yesterday? Kennedy was asked about flying because Kennedy is one of the guys that flew on the Epstein jets.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, man, I had a lot of friends." And then he went on to list Harvey Weinstein was a very close friend of mine. He came over to the house. O.J. Simpson's a very close friend of mine. He came over to the house. And he just goes on and he names like every pedo possible, to the point where he even said, "Yeah, Bill Cosby's a friend of mine. He comes over to the house."
Dude. No.
What world are we living in? What world are we living in? Aaron Rodgers, it was said, was the culture around Aaron Rodgers was super toxic last year. And I think it's a lot of it is, what is Aaron Rodgers? It fits right into the conversation on the show today. Aaron Rodgers is a very divisive political figure. And I just don't think it pays anymore to be somebody that stands up and gives their opinion on politics. And one of the reasons that you have so many people that hate LeBron James is the whole shut up and dribble thing.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as he got drug into politics, you can't win for losing and lose for winning in this country.
And then you get criticized for doing nothing.
And then when you say nothing and do nothing, you get criticized for it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep.
There is no winning when it comes to politics. It's wild that you have all of this stuff happening. And Ken Williams, I watch what I want to. I watch the news. If I watch the news, it's for the weather. A lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that way. I mean, I just don't know how you.
And the problem is local news now too. Like if we take a step down and we're like, hey, like whatever your local news channel is in your city, it's so canned now. It's so like robotic and just kind of lifeless that it's like I don't know. I remember as a kid watching a lot of movies where the depiction was, you had a little mini TV on the counter in the kitchen with the news on it while mom was making breakfast and dad was drinking his cup of coffee. And that's just not how it is.
But remember, not too long ago, we would have the Today Show on, or we would have the news. Like, it used to be a thing, man. I used to sit around a dinner table and watch the news at night. I used to watch Tom Brokaw.
Yeah.
We used to do that. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because you just can't. The problem is anymore, we've turned it into like fake news and nobody believes anything because of the political climate in our country.
Yep.
It's just the reality of it. Giggity. I thought this was a really good point. That's why I'm putting it back up. Politicians in certain states don't want the millennial or Gen Z population to be aware of elections. That's why the news and mail is heavily used to target a certain demographic. I agree. I think most politicians would like to have a very small sect of the population vote. I think that's exactly what it is. There's no doubt about that. Tom Dean, can we get more Normans on the wall, Tom?
Dude.
Tom? OG Gary, last two presidential elections took me about 2 hours to finish the ballot. I went through everyone and made sure I knew what I was voting for, but people can't be bothered by that. Oh, it's too much work.
Yeah.
But I'm tired of politics. That's what we get.
Classic. That's
what we get. What the Hales is a YouTube channel. They are in a legal dispute with someone. Part of the temp ruling was that what Hales members is not allowed to have a gun and limited his speech.
Okay.
Wasikowski, I only vote when things are on the same dates. Midterm general. Voting all the time can get tedious. But it used to not be tedious when we would do, I know it's crazy, vote by mail. But now, because one political party votes by mail exceptionally more than the other, now it's cheating. Do you know how many people vote by mail because they don't have time to go stand in a line? But it's not good for us. We're going to turn it into an evil.
Yeah.
It's wild to me. Delaric, the name of the YouTube channel they are talking about is What the Hales. Never heard of it. John DeLon, Super Tuesday was not Nikki Haley Day. No, it was not.
No, it was not.
No, it was not. And you know what the sad thing is? It was Joe Biden Day. Guy dominated, unless you're talking about American Samoa, and then he lost. They had 90 people vote, and Joe lost. But he dominated. He won. I think he won 70% of the Democratic vote in every state but 2. He dominated.
Yeah,
he dominated. But I don't know about the other side of the line. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, it gets too contentious. It's too edgy.
It is.
And,
it's too
toxic,
edgy.
and
Can Aaron Rodgers play 4 more years?
You better be careful rolling out 4 more years on this show.
Okay, easy. You don't talk politics. How many times have I told you, boy?
No, I mean, I think Aaron can probably do 3 more years.
4 more years is a political statement now. Hey, how many years you got left on that contract, boy? 4 more years. Hey, you watch your mouth. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. No, legitimately, I think he's probably got 3. I think 3.
Hey, look, speaking of 4 more years, there's Jake
There he
Retzlaff
is.
wearing his BYU shirt. He'll be the starting quarterback at BYU for 4 more years.
Yikes, I don't got that much in me, fellas.
Jake, you made big headlines after practice the other day. I saw in Sports Illustrated that, and I had never heard you talk about this, but last week on the show, you worked with John Beck in the offseason, apparently. Did you see the story that Sports Illustrated wrote about you and John Beck? And
I did not. Was it a good one?
No? Yes, it was. I'm kidding.
That's typical.
Typical. Fake news.
No, well, I mean, John Beck, I mean, that guy's incredible. He works, 3D QB is the company, obviously, the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And they train at the junior college that I went to my first year in junior college. So it's not like this is, I don't know, I guess it's a bigger deal than I think. But it was like drive down to my old junior college and throw, every other day for, as long as I was home in winter break. So,
yeah.
It was really good.
Crazy. I was looking at your junior college stats after the show last week.
Oh, geez.
Dude, you can spin it. I've heard that you were pretty, like, your stats. And did you frame them? Does your mom have it hanging on the wall in the basement or anything? Or
no, I don't have. What I do have is, like, the cool thing I like to do is, like, jerseys of the teams I played on. So high school and both junior colleges, I have the jerseys shadow boxed. Now, I don't have the stats listed in the shadow box, but they are shadow boxed. But
do you remember that? Do you remember how cool it was? I remember the first varsity jersey I got. It was baseball. And I remember being excited about the quality of the jersey. Like, I remember, oh man, it's tackle twill. Like, do you remember the first cool jersey you got?
Yeah, I mean, the first varsity jerseys, obviously, like, my freshman year, I was the backup quarterback on varsity because I transferred my sophomore year to Career Honor Centennial. But my freshman year, I was the second string, and it was really cool to put on a varsity jersey and run out with the varsity letter, and it was really cool. That was a fun year. The coach, even though, like, I was the second string quarterback, and I practiced with the team and I traveled to every game and everything like that, the coach still refused to letter me as a freshman because he just didn't letter freshmen. It was very confusing, but that was my first high school. And then my second high school was Corona Centennial, which is a crazy good program. In my sophomore year, I was running with varsity, but I was JV starter, and then junior year is when I became the varsity starter. So, like, to me, it wasn't the first nice jersey; it was the first nice helmet. Is the one I really liked. It was like my sophomore year, I had like a bucket on, and then my junior year, well, a bucket. Compared to when you guys played, is probably like really nice, but a bucket, my time, and then moved to an F7, my junior year, and I was like, all right, now I'm cool. I got a nice helmet, and now I'm cool.
Us old guys in the buckets and stuff.
Yeah,
the leather helmets, and
my junior college coach legitimately had his freshman year. They wore legitimate leather helmets. And he had it up in his office on the shelf. It was actually unbelievable. And it explained a lot.
Now, obviously, you're a guy who you wound up getting a bunch of letters and stuff. Did your girlfriend wind up wearing your letterman's jacket? Did you go through that whole thing?
No, my mom did. It was my mom.
Oh, Jake. That's so nice. Your mom got the letterman's jacket.
Mom got the letterman. She loved to wear it, especially when it got colder later in the year in football season. She would wear it to all the games.
Oh, that's awesome. So how are things? How's spring ball going? Let me ask you straight away. Are you the starting quarterback at BYU?
That's the plan. I mean, right now it's a competition between me and Gary. And there's honestly nobody else I'd rather be in a competition with. Gary's just an awesome dude, and I love having him in the room and stuff like that. Having another veteran in there, it's pretty sweet. I love everything he's about, and he's just a great dude. And the room's still got a great chemistry regardless of competition. So it's a lot of fun. Now I'm super excited spring ball's back. Like, I expressed this. Like, I've been waiting 2 months sitting around for the spring ball to start, and now that it's started, it's going really well, and I'm definitely feel like a different player than I was last year.
Yeah,
Which
and
you guys,
I think that's a huge storyline because I think you, statistically speaking, if you didn't watch last year, your stats were frankly unimpressive. I think you would agree with that. But I think there's a big story in that. And I think the perseverance that you showed through last year, and everybody that I've spoken to at BYU says you are not even a shadow of who you were last year, that you are a completely, wholly, 100% different player. How is that manifesting itself on the field during spring ball? Like, what are you feeling? What are you seeing? And what is the result of this different Jake Retzloff?
If you ask Parker Kingston, it's probably the bruise on his left pec from a dart I threw to him yesterday on a little post route. But no, just overall, like all the throws are being made. I mean, every throw is being made. The windows are getting smaller, but the ball's still there. The accuracy is different. I honestly think, like, I go back, I look at my career, the biggest jumps I made in my career was my sophomore year to my junior year of high school was a crazy jump. Like athletically, I matured more. I got stronger, like I finished, maturing, and puberty finally got through. And then now, honestly, like the next thing I would compare it to, the way I feel right now is like legitimately my sophomore year to my junior year in college too. Cause I would consider last year my sophomore year because it was my redshirt year, and now I'm a junior and redshirt junior. But so like, that's like the big, it feels different. And the little getaway with John Beck, we were home for about a month, and it was incredible to get with John and to get like everything just mechanically sound. Cause like the other 2 times that I worked with John, it was like only a week or maybe, a week and a half, a weekend. Like it wasn't like an extended period of time where I got to consistently bank these reps with a guy like that, looking at me, watching me do my thing. And so to be able to like do that consistently for those like couple of weeks or about a month, like that tightened everything up. And when you know why you do certain things, it makes a huge difference on how you do it. So like a lot of people, they try to bank a lot of reps. And to me, that's not necessarily the greatest thing. It's the intention on the reps. That's what really makes a player great. And that's where development happens, is when you know why you're doing certain things. And so like, when I started to really understand my mechanics, I started to really understand why did that ball sail? Why did that ball flutter a little bit? Why was that not a tight spiral? Like that's when you kind of take the next step to the next level. And that's when your accuracy it's like you envision putting a ball in a spot, it's there. I mean, I had a couple of throws like that, and it's like, it's really fun. It's like now you're playing a game that nobody else is playing, especially at the quarterback position. That's the position where you can really feel like you're playing at a higher level, because one, you get to see the whole thing versus another positions where you can't. And then 2, you affect it so much. And so, yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I'm so happy I got to do that. I've been talking to A-Rod. I'm like, let's get John out here as much as we can. Cause he came out a couple weeks ago, like right before spring ball, he came out again. And so we threw a little bit and tweaked and worked on some more things. And so, I mean, I'm at the point where it's like, yeah, get that guy out here whenever I can. I'm a little bit addicted to him. And, he's busy. This is the busiest time of year for him. He's got the pro day guys and stuff like that, and all those guys that are about to get drafted, he's working with right now. And so, but once he's done with that, once that draft happens, I'm like, get that guy out here ASAP.
It's interesting as we visit with Jake Retzloff, thanks to our friends at Big O Tire and American Fork. I think one of the things that I hear you talking about is, hey, I'm talking to this guy, I'm talking to that guy, I'm talking to A-Rod. How has the communication changed from player to coach for you? Because I think one of the guys that's under a lot of pressure, frankly, is Aaron Roderick. I think this is a critically important year. We talked about it yesterday on the show, Jake, that I feel like this is make or break is probably strong. You guys need to take a big step forward in this offense this year. I think it's critically important, whether you're LJ Martin, whether you are Chase, whether you are Jake Retzloff and Aaron Roderick. I think it's huge. So how has the communication changed? How have those conversations evolved as you've learned the offense and taken command of this team?
Yeah, shout out Ryan Eldridge over there at Big O Tires. Yeah, no. I mean, we understand, like, when you have a year like you did last year, 5-7 year, and not an offensively sound year, that obviously like things are going to be a little more tight and things are going to be a little more like, all right, come on, like this is the year where it's make or break in a way. And so, I mean, the communication's always been good. It's only gotten better, if that makes sense. Like, you know, as you first come in, you're trying to learn things, figure things out. And then now you're trying to get to the next level of the communication, the next level of questions. And then you try to find yourself, you know, when you first get here, you're asking level 100 questions. And then now I'm asking level 300 questions, you know what I mean? And so it's good. I mean, I find myself in the O staff room, you know, often. And so I get to be able to ask those questions and every little tweak, especially, you know, with the new O-line coach and Coach Woods, like there's different communication factors that he brings in. And the O-line, it's cool is they actually want to know more information this year, which is pretty cool. They want to know how motion affects the run game. They want to know like just a bunch of different things like that, split flow action, but you know, all these different things that they want to know it all instead of just knowing the run play or just knowing the protection, which is cool. And so that helps me understand what they're doing. And then obviously helps them do their job at a higher level. So, you know, it's just always getting better. That's the only way I would describe it. From the first day, you're just trying to learn the offense. And then, you know, you move on to your first camp and you're just trying to apply the offense. You move on to the next camp and you're trying to, you know, grow in the offense. And so it's been really good. And we know that we got to be better, but I also know that we're miles ahead of where we were last year at this point. I mean, we are miles ahead of where we were last year at this point. And a lot of that's due to the amount of guys coming back. You know, a lot of that's due to a guy like Coach Woods. A lot of that's due to just the people we have in the building. Just, you know, the different attention to detail is really good. Now, like I said, I just think we're miles ahead of last year, which is going to make the biggest difference when it comes to like fall camp and stuff like that. So,
you know, I also think it's very interesting you talk about the O-line in the run game, because one of my biggest complaints with this club last year is I just wanted more LJ. I wanted more, you know what? I want more cohesiveness. And you're never going to have the same 5 guys week in and week out. That's just not the nature of college football today. You're going to probably have to have, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that you can really count on up there. But that relationship, in your opinion, how much stronger is the relationship from, you know, the back to the quarterback to the offensive line, and how cohesive will you expect that run game to be as we head for fall camp?
Well, I mean, when you talk about run game, you don't talk about just the O-line in the back. That's an 11-man thing. Like, that is not in any means a 5-man O-line responsibility. That is an 11-man responsibility. And that you saw us really take ownership of that in the last couple of games of the year, where we started running the ball really effectively. And when Aiden Rodman started kind of going off and just making huge runs, gashes against really good teams. And so we started becoming an 11-man run offense. And so that's just a huge thing. It's the O-line. Yeah, sure. O-line has to block. Tight ends have to block. You know, receivers have to get downfield, cut off their DB, so they're not making plays at 6 yards. Instead, they have to make the play at 15 yards. Quarterback has to make the right read. The way, you know, it's incredible what a quarterback can do for the run game. If the quarterback can pull the ball when he needs to pull the ball and, you know, make things happen with his legs, that changes the whole defense. Like, now, not only does the backside have to play more honest and trust that I have to let the quarterback hand the ball off and I can't crash too hard, but also like the secondary, the linebackers behind that and the safeties behind that have to be like, oh crap, that quarterback might pull it, be out the gate. I got to be a little more backside. Next thing you know, our back is front side and it's got 2 more steps on the guy. It's a big difference. I mean, like 11, like I can't preach them. A-Rod preaches that a lot to us. It's an 11-man thing. And we take ownership of that. And shoot, yesterday, I think Gary pulled one and took it to the house, like a 60-yarder. It was a great run. And just because the backside didn't crash and we had a pulling tight end for him to get out front of him and he just took it. And so like those type of things, it's just like, it just looks so good. And then, you know, that in 5 plays later, or even like in a game setting, you know, the next quarter, that running back is going to be able to get 3, 4, 5 more yards per run because of that quarterback run game. So I think that we're dialing in that run game. Coach Woods is, you know, our run game coordinator, and he's drawing up some good stuff. And, you know, that guy, he got it. Our tight end coach, he got it. Our A-Rod's got it. We got it. It's just about putting it on the field.
Jake, after all this film you've watched and going through the offseason and all the development you've gone through, Do you feel like there's maybe one opportunity in the offense where you guys can really take strides forward, or is it more just like, hey, as a offense, we just have to be better in pretty much every facet? Because like I agree, I agree with the sentiment that, hey, I would love to see you guys run it more, but I know you've talked all about how you're a different player now. So I also think about like, hey, maybe is this season just a season where you just ball out at BYU and that's what carries you guys forward? Or is there, in your mind, one area of the offense that you think really, if you guys did that better, you would take a big step forward?
Honestly, like it's getting back to our roots. Like when you think about BYU and you just erase the last 2 years out of your mind, you think about the years before that, we were just a great run, play action, pass team. And like we're just getting back to that, getting back to being who we are now. Do we have the drop back abilities? No doubt. But still, like getting back to the outside zone, be able to run that really effectively, and be able to run the play action pass off of it. Like I was talking to the coaches yesterday, and I was or just this past week, and I was just explaining to them like my whole life I've played in gun, and I've been in the pistol, but I've been in gun. I've never like understand it was like an alien to me before I came here. And I was explaining to them, like, I love play action pass from under center. When you get a hard sell on that fake and then check it on over top of the defense, it's so sweet. So like, I was just explaining that to them. I was like, I love play action pass. Let's go under center run. Let's go under center play action pass after that. You know what I mean? We could do that. I think we can really do that. We can do that from heavy formations. We left from heavy formations with Kibo at tight end. Next thing you know, Kibo's running a deep over route and he's wide open for a touchdown. You know what I mean? So
I would love to see you guys run. Listen, let's not pull any punches. We don't on this show. Dude, if you're not amazing, if you are, because I think I see a lot of things like Brock Purdy. I see Brock Purdy with those third down, second down runs that break a defense's back. My man, that's you. Like, I think you have the ability, but you guys have to be able to, in my opinion, and what do I know? But my opinion is you have to be able to run out of motion and obvious passing formations and obvious passing situations. You have to be able to effectively run the football. Am I wrong about that?
No, not at all. And what's funny is our stadium, because the fans are the way they are. Like, A-Rod would love to run on a 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 8. He'll love obvious pass. He'll love to run in that situation, especially in the middle of the field, because you're going to, like, there's a good chance you gash an obvious pass situation or a run play, right? And especially in a passing formation. And so, like, when you can do that and now it's either first down or it's 4th and 2, like, we're going for it. And so you get there's times where, like, in the stadium, it'll be 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, and A-Rod's like, all right, let's go mid zone here, and it's like, okay, let's do it and see what happens and see if we can get close enough to go for it, or we just gash it and get it. And the funny thing is, like, we'll gash it and get it, and we like the fans will go from upset to like, let's go, and they'll be super fired up. And then if we don't get it, they're just like upset and booing and stuff like that, because they're fans, they're fanatics, that's what they do. But yeah, I mean, we can do that, and the quarterback run game obviously helps out a lot with that. I mean, empty quarterback draw. I mean, every time we go empty in practice, our defense is yelling, QB draw, watch QB draw, because they know that we have the ability to do that so easily. And when we motion the back out of the backfield, that's something we can do really well, is, RPO that. And so, we could do that in a lot of different ways, whether it's at a quarterback run at an empty, or it's, pass formation and spread formation and run the ball. So, and it's not like we haven't done it before. It's something that we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's interesting, the prominence of motion for effect. And I know we not to get too deep into the X and O weeds, but I think it is a staple of quality offense in American football now, where you have to be able to manipulate the defense through motion. And the other question that I would have for you about spring ball is how much are we going to see the tight end evolve into this offense? Because I think your ability to be accurate, and your ability to be accurate outside the pocket, I think is going to be a real strength for this offense. But I also think you have a really talented tight end pool right now. You got 2 guys that I think could really be difference makers. Do you see the tight end becoming a more prominent position in this offense?
I'm interested to hear what two tight ends you think of, because when I think of our tight end room, it is a mix of guys who can all do a lot of great things. Like, honestly, like, obviously you get a guy like Kibo, who's obviously the biggest pass threat in the tight end room. But like, we got some guys that do some different things really freaking well. And it's so great to see that this early in spring ball, just to see that, like, we got so many guys who can do so many different things well and different package. I mean, we're going to have a bunch of different personnel just with our tight ends, because our tight ends do so many different things well. And so, yeah, I love our tight ends in every part of our game. I mean, our first day of install in spring ball was we run like a little just white cross, and that's just tight end run across the field in an over route, and we had to complete it too many times. It was ridiculous. We just ran that play over and over again, and coach made a joke. It's like, dude, we should just call this play for you every time. Like, why do we call any other play for you? Like, you just chuck a dot right over the middle to the tight end for a huge chunk of yards. So, yeah, I'm excited about these tight ends. They do some great things, and we can expand so much. And, I mean, that's the crazy thing about this offense right now is we have the veteran ability at receiver to do so many different things with the spread formation with maybe just one tight end. And maybe that one tight end is just Kibo. So is that 11 personnel or is that 10 personnel? What is that really? How are you going to treat that as defense coordinator? You know, and we got, obviously, Kibo's doing a lot, like, playing at the tight end position. But when you can play Kibo at tight end position, next thing you know, we're flexing him out to the boundary. If they want to put a safety on him and man, okay, now we know it's man. Now we're going to pick on you because we know it's man. And you've put him out there and it's zone. Okay, well, I got 3 great receivers out there that's going to tear up your zone. So, like, there's so in that, you know, retrospect, it's like we got so many guys who can do so many different things that I'm excited to see it. And A-Rod's really good at using the tight end position for different things. I mean, Mason Fakahua had a great little block inside the box yesterday where he you know, jumped inside. We have a play where he blocks through the B gap on a run play, leads for the back, where the tackle stays out on the end, and he just mauled the linebacker and created a huge gash for the running back. So, I mean, our guys do so many different things. You got veterans and like Tavita Ase. That guy's a veteran. He's played in the system for his entire career, and he's just an older veteran guy.
He's also 260 pounds.
That guy's huge. And then you also got the young guys, like, you know, Anthony Olsen's still a young guy, and that guy's just physically just there. I mean, that guy, I wonder how much he's weighing. He's got to be 250. That guy is big and strong, and he can run better than people think. And, you know, Reiner Swanson, also the young kid running across the field, really good. And just let me keep going. You know, you got a guy like Ethan Erickson, who's basically like a Kibo. You know what I mean? They both are very similar, both more receiving type guys and faster than they look. And there's just
I think you got to have
guys on guys.
You got to, and you talked about, you motion that size advantage to the boundary, and all you're doing is opening up options for a guy like you again. And you're on our show, obviously, but I truly believe that your skill set, when you look at your ability to manipulate a safety, and in pre-snap, when you're able to move guys like that, all you're doing is using the gap that guys like Cody or Chase or, you know, Lassiter is going to create in space. And I think that's just so critical. I'm a big believer in tight ends and offense. I think in today's world, and your ability to run, and I don't know, you have the talent at the skill position, I think, to manipulate that defense so that maybe maybe the call is for a pass play and maybe you're outside the pocket, but that doesn't mean that you can't run. Right. And I just think that's huge. Hey, real quick, I don't want to forget. How's helmet communication? Are you guys using that? Like, how has that been for you guys?
It's the greatest thing ever. The greatest thing ever. The best thing that's ever happened in the history of football ever. And you can quote me on that. I love it so much. I mean, it's so great. I mean, at first I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to have to memorize a play and say it in the huddle and like off of just the ear. But the way we're doing it's a little different, so I don't have to do all that. But having A-Rod in your ear pre-snap, it's so wild and so great. It expedites everything. Everything is faster now because instead of him having to tell another quarterback to play, signal it in to me, I have to get it, then I have to tell the O-line, then I have to make my call, then I have to, you know, now we're ready to go, send the motion, ready to go. Instead, it's like, all right, got the play, tell the O-line, turn around, get ready, let's go. Receivers are already getting it from the signal still, and like let's go. It's so sweet. I love it so much. And the thing is, like, it's super easy with stuff like, all right, the play is this, one high, check this. That's it. You can just say that instead of me having to know the game plan. No, like, not that it's hard to, but like, instead of me having to know every single nuance to every play. Okay, so like, this is not going to work versus field pressure. We need to do this. Like, now he just tells me before the play, hey, field pressure, check this.
Well, and if you're playing tempo and you get a big play, you're not necessarily thinking about it because he's seeing, hey, backside or this is happening. So he can give you those little things because you can't think about it all. Right? Like that, to me, that's what you're saying. I don't even think, like, for my money, if you guys play at tempo, I think that's where in college football it's going to be a game changer because you're going to get a call and then you're going to get a, hey, you can get multiple plays in there with a, hey, watch this or look at that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's to the point where, like, and A-Rod's still, obviously messing with it and seeing what he wants and what information he wants to give us, what information we like to hear. But, like, because it's like, going through the installs and stuff like that. What are we at install 4? When we just, like, we draw plays on the board. All right. Let's say in the meeting, we drop the play. It's like, okay, what's your read? Your read here is, flat over dig. That's your read. Okay. Now we go on the field and it's like, he calls the play and he just, right after he says the play, he sees the huddle be broken because the sugar huddle with the O-line, he sees that be broken and he sees me like IDing the defense. He just like tells me flat over dig. Just something like that. And like, not, you know what I mean? And what's funny is that specific play is like rooted in my brain so deep that I would never forget that. But it's just something simple that he can do with any play. And especially if it's a game plan tweak play, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's just really good. And like, what's crazy to me is like, when we go tempo, like he tells me to play, I know it so quick. I'm telling the O-line. I mean, like, I'm getting up from getting tackled and he could be telling me to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have to run back, look at the sideline, get it, give it to, and he's telling, I know that, I mean, we're going so much faster in practice. We're getting more reps in than we ever got it in practice because I know the play before the O-line are back to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they get back to me and I'm telling them to play and they're like, already? We're going again? What is this, tempo? You know what I mean? Like, and it's to the point where it's like, all right, let me slow down. Let me just like let these guys catch their breath for a second. All right, now let's go. You know what I mean? So
how did
it's
it
great.
take this long?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even seem like it was that hard of a transition. Like, I mean, I don't know how closely you watch NFL news, but Justin Fields earlier this year made a huge deal about the fact that his OC was in his ear too much. About
had to bring the Bears up.
Yeah,
had to bring up the Bears,
of course, because Jake is over here talking about how this is the greatest thing ever, and then Justin Fields is like, "Hey, they're talking to me too much." So I feel like this is a relationship based thing. This isn't just ease of use. I mean, obviously, like you said, it picks everything up and makes it easier. But it seems like if you have a good relationship with your OC, it just makes it so much easier. And I have to say, in clutch time in a 2-minute situation, like I can only imagine you must be just thrilled for that type of situation because now it's just so much faster. It makes perfect sense how much easier that would make it for you.
Yeah, it's great.
Before we let you go, what are you looking forward to in this next jump into spring football? What are the landmarks ahead?
That's a good question. Just like, I feel like we're not on page 1. We're so far ahead of page 1 right now. And just to keep that going, keep that development going and keep that offense, just keep dominating and keep doing things the right way. Like last year, we were really like in practice, we were hot and cold. And this year, like the big focus, especially in spring, is like, guys, we're not going to be hot and cold. We're going to be good every day. We're going to dominate the defense every day. We're going to make them look at themselves and be like, we got to contain the offense today. They're not going to come and attack and beat us. They got to try to contain us. You know what I mean? And so like, that's the big thing. And that's the big message A-Rod sent to the offense. And that's what the offense is going to do. We're going to go out there and we're not going to be like, all right, we won today. Let's just go out there and we'll probably do the same thing, but maybe not. Maybe the defense comes with a different energy and they beat us. No. We're going to go out there. We're like, all right, we're going to win every day. And that's just how we got to be. And when it comes to like milestones, it's just like, it's banked reps, number one. Like, I mean, that's the biggest thing is banked reps. And then on top of that, you get just the development of young guys, the development of the offense, the way we just progress and the direction that we go. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. It's going to be a lot of fun to see guys pop off. It's going to be a lot of fun to see like freshman dudes. Like I know Coach Wood is high on our freshman Joe Brown, offensive lineman. That guy's a tank. That guy is so strong. It's unbelievable. Like he just stands people up, and I think he lifted a D lineman off the ground at practice the other day. So like that, like see like freshmen like that, to see what they got, or like transfer guys who came in, guys who are new to the team, to see them develop in this offense and kind of get on the train. You know what I mean? Because we're going in a direction that's really good right now. So it's about getting on the train and going and propelling it instead of getting in the way. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. Like I told you,
Early enrollment, man. Right? You got to be you got to get early exposure. All right. Last question. Best food you ate in the last week? Go.
Best food. Oh, I went to a Kickin' Seafood in Provo. Seafood place. I went out on with the running backs, and we went to Kickin' Seafood. It was pretty fire.
Nice. We did a story this week about a guy that ate a raw squid. Thought it was dead. It wasn't. So it decided to live in his throat, and he almost died. It almost suffocated him. Just keep that in mind next time you go out for seafood. I'm serious, dude. Like, and they put one of those cameras down his throat, and you could see the tentacles sticking out of his windpipe. And he's like, yeah, for some reason I had trouble breathing, couldn't drink either. Who knew? What? Yeah. I don't eat squid, dude.
Swallowed I mean, that's swallowing an entire squid. I mean,
yes. Yeah. Not like swallowing it, putting it in your throat and letting it live there. I'm just going to stick to the acai bowls and my sushi, and it'll be fun.
Let me just order my acai bowl right now.
Do it. Absolutely.
A squid living in his throat. I mean, what?
Oh. And then
like eating something raw is one thing. Like sushi's good. Yeah, sure. Like there's good raw food, but like eating something raw, like not cut up, like just fully intact, like
Nope.
It's
gross.
Not doing it.
What?
I'm not doing it. I don't want it. I'm not doing it. I love sushi. This guy won't touch sushi. I love sushi.
Well, I like fish though. What did you get? Did you get salmon, or what did you get at this place? Like, what was the?
No, I got some crab legs and shrimp and some corn and potatoes, and
that sounds good.
It was really good.
That is good.
It was really good. I'm trying to go to the teppanyaki place here in town.
Bro, good. Yeah, we speak the same language. So you screwed me on Gatorade though, because now every time I walk up to a Gatorade cabinet, like in a Maverick, now I'm like, Jake says lemon lime. Yeah, not doing it.
So I didn't screw you, dude. At least I'm in your head. I'm getting there. Now you just got to start, listening to the intrusive thought of grabbing a lemon lime Gatorade.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm golfing this weekend, man. I'm playing Saturday and Sunday, so maybe I'll shoot well if I drink lemon lime.
I'm telling you, it's the most refreshing flavor. There's no doubt. Refreshing. I mean, it's a different level. It's a different level.
Good to see you, my man. Have a good week. Stay healthy. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
All right, sweet. Sounds good.
There you go. Jake Retzloff. There's nothing to talk about. That's the starting quarterback at BYU. I don't want to. I don't want to hear I'm not here for. That's the starting quarterback at BYU.
Yeah,
that's one of the best conversations. But like the guy loves talking football.
Yeah,
he is.
And I love that he wants to play under center.
I love
that, dude.
I love it.
I remember on the show talking about it last year, that they play way too much gun and that they need to play under center more and they need to hand it off to LJ more. Like, see, when you said, hey, I want more LJ, and seeing him be like, yes. Yeah. That was exciting.
Yep. Kill Ball says red shirt in 8th grade and then go on a 2-year mission after your freshman year. Yeah, it's not easy. John DeLon, Monty is 3 vodka shots away from eating a whole raw octopus. No, I'm not. If you missed the show, this dude ate an octopus. And it almost choked.
Like,
he almost
who thought that was a good idea?
And it was days. It was a long. I can't remember how long it was. It wasn't like 5 minutes later. He's like, oh shit, something's. No, dude, that thing was in his throat. And he's like, I couldn't breathe. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't drink. I was having trouble getting water down.
It's not the best situation, and we all know that.
Nah, bro, never. Chrissy, most Utah schools have old men on their teams. Why do Utah schools have mortgage age players on their teams? I think that's a perception versus reality thing.
Yeah.
I will just again say, anybody who thinks taking 2 years off of weightlifting, training, cardio, playbook All of that. Because when you go and serve a church mission, you're not like, okay, got to go get my lift in. Then maybe I'll go door knock. Dude, all you're doing is riding a bicycle and knocking on people's doors, and you are not footballing. You are not there. Guys do push-ups, guys do sit-ups, guys do body weight. Sure. You're not lifting weights. You're not in a playbook. You're not on your iPad. You are serving your God. Period. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not an advantage to be, a 24-year-old, a 23-year-old freshman. You think that's an advantage? No. It's not. It is not at all. Awesome show today, as always. Appreciate you guys. A little more serious conversation today, but that's what it is.
All right.
The Monty Show, as always, presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Please, you guys, get to the Red Cross, donate blood, use the sponsor code ADVOCATESSLC. Advocates SLC, advocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney live online 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.